stream is live, I think. There we go. Stream is live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. We're going to play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Yay!
I think it's Devils and Demons now, though.
I'm Christiana Ellis, the Dungeon Master. Our players tonight, Starla Hutchton as Nirakina Ethu.
Greetings and salutations.
Jenny Meltzer as Cadence of the Water.
Howdy.
James Meltzer as Ket of the Sands.
Howdy ho, everybody.
Mark Kilfoyle as Alaric Copperbeard.
People have told me to go to hell for my entire life. Turns out it's not as bad as I thought.
Vivid Muse as Amethyst.
Hey, y'all.
And Jadzia Axelrod as Mugen the Magnificent.
What's up, party people?
Alas, we are short one Chooch Schubert as Autarky this episode. We will soldier on as best we can without him. But let's talk a little bit about what happened last week.
We went to hell?
You did?
Yep.
Yeah. So Nira was maybe going to do a thing, and did she do a thing? We don't know. It happened off camera. And then all of you decided that the basic need here was to travel to hell and try to persuade whoever needs persuading that the contract, the infernal contract crafted between the Prince of Hell and Neocortex, the dragon with whom you have had past disagreements, you want to have that contract altered so that it does not require Alaric's father and Nira's mother to be assassinated. So, with that in mind, there was some business about trying to figure out how best to travel there. And eventually, after returning to the World Tree, Cadence guided everybody using the World Tree, climbing it in order to travel to the 9th level of the 9 Hells, where you have been informed that the Prince of Hell resides. Once there, the devil that you trapped in the iron flask was a helpful guide, informing you how to arrive at the Devil Prince's castle. You traveled there, and it turns out super charming, right? Yeah? The Devil Prince, really, Prince of Hell, is a nice guy, turns out.
Cadence thought so, yeah.
He is frozen like everything else, although certainly more than anyone else you've encountered. Doesn't seem to require quite as much of the effort to unfreeze him. He seems really ready to be unfrozen, and really kind of just planning to do it allows him to unstick himself without you having to have actually touched him, which is new, but it still seems like it only happened when you were planning to unfreeze him anyway. But you had some preliminary discussions. He basically made it clear he was very glad to meet you all in person. He had been following your adventures for quite a while, and that he considered many different possible options on the table and was actively interested in having you attempt to renegotiate things, because you have all sorts of things that he might be willing to consider. And in particular, one of those things that you might do is that if you could persuade Neocortex to stop fighting the terms of his contract and just submit to hell, that might work out. But in the meantime, you are all whisked away to some sort of a devilish office cube farm that has a conference room, and you are informed by the Prince of Hell, who whisked you there. That's where we're going. You can begin your negotiations with neocortex, implying he's in there. I miss anything?
We have 9/10, or well, 1/10 of a plan.
I think
More
that's a
than,
high
we
estimate.
more than we usually have.
At least 3/20ths. At least.
Yeah, maybe.
My dog is digging on
Yo.
the couch. Rocket.
What are we going to do? Are we just going to like go through the door, or no? We already went through the door, didn't we?
No, you are still out in the area where it seems like there are lots of lower level devils negotiating with arriving evil souls that have not yet been assigned to their location in hell. It's kind of seems like it's a processing center of some kind, bureaucratic in nature. But there is you are near the entrance to a conference room looking place, but with frosted glass, so you haven't actually seen inside yet.
And everyone here is still frozen. Everything, I guess, too.
Yes, well, with the exception of the Prince of Hell, who just transported you all here and is
Right.
standing with his hand out because he was indicating to you that that's where you should go.
Right.
Well, if that's where we should go, let's go.
I just quickly look around for any literature that's lying around on tables, like, handbook for the recently deceased, your guide to the 9 hells, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you just found out you're damned.
And any literature that might be hanging around that tells me
Like
about this place.
Stand of pamphlets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like a waiting room in a dentist's office or something,
Damn it, you're
Low
in
light.
hell. Here's what's next.
Yes.
Lowlights magazine.
Make an investigation check.
Okay.
All right, Low Lights magazine took me a moment, but that was pretty good. That was pretty good.
I like that one.
That's a
I
deep
love
cut.
They have
D&D.
Goofus and Gallant, but it's a whole different flip perspective on it.
Investigation, that's 17.
I think that there's not just obvious books or pamphlets of that type, but there are some blank stacks of paperwork that look like forms,
Okay.
like application forms, and you could grab a stack of those for later perusal if you like.
I will do that.
Okay. The Prince of Hell looks at you and says, I trust you'll find those stimulating reading, since
Hey, man.
all of you are so interested in contract negotiations.
Oh, I love a contract negotiation.
It's
You
so
never
nice
know.
to have you finally speak up, Mookin. I was wondering why you were so quiet before.
Oh, I was really parched and didn't want to stress out that it's very dry down here. Have you noticed? Extremely dry. You may want to look into that. Anyway, remembered I had a canteen, took a swig, and now I'm back to my talkative self.
Splendid. So, here's a question. One of the bits of detail that I explained to everyone last time was that once he was able to move, the Prince of Hell immediately changed his appearance so that everybody saw him as a very handsome man of their own species.
Mm-hmm.
How does Mugen see him?
Oh, Mugen sees him as a human.
All right.
I would even go so far as to say Mugen sees him as Mugen used to look.
Oh, there you go. I noticed the little
Saw
fairy
that coming.
compliment in there of that
Yep.
that implies that Mugen used to look like an extremely handsome man. Of course.
Mugen was dashing.
Yeah.
I mean, Mugen is still dashing, just in a very different way.
Yeah.
Now dashing in a bonus action.
So, are you proceeding into the room then?
Well,
Yeah.
the prince has to stay here.
He's giving you a look like, do I?
Does he really?
I'd rather not have him part of our discussions.
But he's so handsome.
And
Alaric,
terribly
I-
influential.
I am doing my best to proceed with you in good faith, and secret negotiations aren't exactly a way to build trust.
And I don't trust you as far as I can throw you. And I don't trust your influence in a room as far as I can see you. So, you'll stay out here.
There's a long moment where he's just smiling at you, and it's like he is just savoring the moment of knowing he doesn't have to do what you say.
Well, we can just
But-
walk away and you can stay here.
I did bring you to this place.
You did.
Alaric,
Very well.
don't
Do you
forget
want a
why
tip?
we're here.
You
I may
came
have to deal
to
with him, but I
me.
don't have to like him.
You
I
came
don't have
to
to
me
trust him.
requesting my help. I am here hoping that we can come to a mutually beneficial arrangement. If you wish for me to stay outside.
Of course. Alaric's just a little tipsy. It's okay. Come on in. All the cards are on the table. Let's not have anything too secret.
Well, I wouldn't want to intrude.
Oh, well, if you don't want to intrude, then you can stay outside. Up to you, big boy.
If you all would prefer to discuss with Neocortex without me present, I will permit you to do so. Word of warning, however, he doesn't like you.
Oh, we're so used to that.
I had thought that I might be a calming presence, but up to you.
You know, he doesn't know Mugen at all. What
Are you
if?
sure?
You didn't tell him about me?
Yeah, he
Heard.
probably knows all
Well,
about
he's never
Mugen.
met Mugen.
That's true.
He did see your memories and stuff, and like my
Well,
memories.
exactly. But Mugen has never directly done anything to get on Neocortex's bad side. So perhaps maybe see what Mugen can do, and I'm fine waiting it. I would not want to inconvenience His Highness further by making him, frozen in time again. It just seems really unfair.
How is it an inconvenience for him? He won't even notice it's happening.
Why do we have to argue about like everything, guys?
It's not we have to argue. Alaric has to argue about everything.
He's a prince of hell. Their job is to manipulate and trick people. So no, I don't happen to trust him.
But what does that? Never mind.
I am standing right here.
Why don't
Can
we
you hear
take
me
a
clearly,
vote?
or should I speak up even louder?
Let's
no,
take
you-
a vote.
You've made yourself
We're gonna
quite-
take a vote. Let's take a vote. Who doesn't mind that the Prince of Hell, Lord of Darkness? What are all your full titles?
Prince of Hell is fine. I use others, but it's different contexts. It's not really designed to be all in a row.
Are you the Mother of Flies, or is that someone else?
Not anymore. I kind of delegated that.
Really? I'm like 100 years out of date. All right. Right. So everyone cool with the Prince of Hell coming into the negotiations with us. Raise their hand. Just me? Who else is doing this? We got 2, 3.
I'm good. I don't care.
That's a yes from
Four.
Kat as well.
If Alaric feels
That's-
unsafe,
that's
I
the
don't want
majority.
to make him.
Let's do it. Let's just do it. Let's move.
It's up to Alaric.
It's not up to me, apparently you voted. But
I know.
I
It's
wanna-
really hard when you don't get your way and everyone else does. That must
it's
be
a
rough.
mistake.
Amethyst, make an insight check.
And it's not great. It's 12.
All right. This all seems pretty standard.
Fine. Let's just get this over with then. I'm just going to walk through the door,
All right.
open it up usually.
So glad we could twist your arm.
So, does everyone else follow? Or is Alar kind of going off by himself? Again.
I follow
Going
Alark.
in, yeah.
I'll go in.
All right.
Not gonna let Alaric power move me here. Let's go.
So it seems like everyone is going in. So you go in, and there is a at sort of first glance, it seems like a nicely furnished. It's first glance, it seems like a nicely furnished. Sorry, conference room. I'm getting separate messages. Nicely furnished conference room, but it occurs to you upon closer inspection that everything in there is just a little bit off. Like the carpet at first glance seems ordinary, but as you kind of scuff your feet on it, you realize it's rough, and it kind of releases these weird little fibers into the air with each step. And the chairs look like they're nicely padded and everything. I'm going to close that Hangouts tab because every time you guys send one of those messages, it's making a beep on the.
That's not for you.
All right. Well, but it was making a beep on the stream audio. So, okay. The chairs look nicely padded, but as soon as you kind of reach out to touch one, it feels a little bit like damp and maybe sticky. And so everything has just something about it that's just kind of ruins it.
Question, and you may have gone into this last week, and I apologize. Is this ye old medieval conference room, or is this a modern conference room that is foreign and alien to our ye old medieval players?
I would say split the difference. It is okay, hang on. Don't give me that look. I
didn't say anything.
Okay, but I can see you on the camera. And I saw the face you made.
I'm waiting for an explanation because I know you have a good one.
It is ye old in the sense of what, like, the furnishings and the decor and so on, like, are made from and so on. But the idea of an office and a conference room is not sort of a typical sort of arrangement of rooms. Like the idea that there's a room where there's a table and people talk is one thing, but the layout is like a modern office building. But like the example that keeps coming to mind is how if you're making like a video game level, the layout is like a modern office building, but the texture pack is ye old medieval.
Okay.
Does that help? We're getting little text beeps coming through. I'm not sure who's doing that, but okay. So the last notable feature in this room, though, is that there is a glass jar sitting on the end of the table. And although it's the essence of it being a glass jar is obvious, but it is nonetheless a very fancy glass jar. Might be even crystal, you don't know. It's got some engravings on it, and the lid seems to not only be made of a variety of precious metals, but also it's got some kind of a clamp on it that looks like it's like a lock.
And there's no dragon in the room?
No.
Okay. Are we early?
No. Neo Quartax is in there. You haven't unfrozen him.
Ah.
I am fascinated to watch the process.
So he's in the jar.
Oh, yes.
Well, that
Do
looks like a
recall-
pretty hefty lock on that, though.
Oh, that. Don't worry. That is a binding that prevents his soul from leaving the hells. It will not prevent him from speaking to us here in the room. If you're expecting a dragon, I'm afraid you might be disappointed. You did kill his dragon body, after all. This is the soul that has not yet been assigned.
I was expecting a dragon. Can I be honest? I really was.
Well, it's obvious now, and I can understand why that would be your expectation. But just as those souls out in the other room no longer resemble their mortal selves, neither does Neocortex. Now, what his final form will be comes down to the final terms of his contract and when it is finally implemented.
So you're
now-
telling me that this is not even his final form?
That's correct. You know, there are the number of configurations he might finally take on is over 9,000.
I've heard that. I've heard that. Well, I mean, this is what we came to do. I'm going to open the jar.
All right.
I'm going to stand back.
All right. So you go to open the jar, and what you realize immediately is that this lock does prevent the lid from taking off in the normal way, but there's a twist on it that basically it opens what looks like some kind of a little valve. And as soon as you manipulate that piece of it, light begins shining out of it, almost like it's escaping like steam, but it glows in a sparkly sort of green mist, and eventually does take a vaguely draconic shape, but mostly still a cloud. But it has very angry, glowing eyes in it, and it glances around the room and then just says, "Why are they here?"
We thought
Oh.
maybe you missed us.
You know,
We're here to help you out. We're here to negotiate your contract.
this cloud looks at the Prince of Hell, and who just says, "It's true, believe it or not. There's a term in your contract, I'm sure you know the one, that they would rather have rescinded." And at this point, he looks around and says, "The fact that it could be rescinded right now is the essence of my entire argument of why the contract should be voided. It was promised to me that those creatures would be killed. They have not been. Hell has failed to deliver on its terms, and my dog is squeaking a toy at me.
Kind of
And
undercuts the argument.
yes, and that is why I should be released from all binding and allowed to proceed to an afterlife of my choosing."
No, what I find really funny, you were so powerful, and yet you had to have a contract for someone else to kill us. That makes me laugh.
It was an insurance policy. Honestly, my expectation was that you lot would actually care more about these supposed loved ones of yours rather than proceed to steal an artifact from me. You would instead choose to save your loved ones. But no, instead you decided that their lives were secondary to you, to your theft, and therefore, now that you're suffering the consequences of your actions, you don't like it.
But see, the funny thing is loved ones that we're supposed to care about, we didn't even remember them. So it kind of didn't really matter in the end, did it? Like, why would we go worried about, like, parents we don't even remember?
It's clear
As
that
far as-
all of
As far as insurance policies go, not your best one, I'll just
No.
say. But here's the thing, Smokey. Before you antagonize us further, we're on your side. We want the contract to be nullified.
how might that happen?
Well, there's a very good reason. I think the bigger question is, Mr. Lord of Hell, why shouldn't the contract be nullified? Because I think he raises a very good point. Like, certain things were meant to happen, they haven't. Your end of the deal has not been upheld.
Not yet. However, the contract specifically included time frames for which the events would take place. And especially given that the difficulty of the initial assassinations has exceeded the original estimates set forward in the appraisal, the time frame has been extended. However, it is still well within the parameters set forth in the contract. If we were to say we could not do it at all, then indeed the contract would be void. However, that has not yet happened. We have plenty more attempts that we could make were we still pressed upon to do so.
Oh, I see. I see. I don't know if you've noticed anything right now, but your assassins aren't really moving because nothing is.
Oh, indeed. Because time is frozen, that of course means that there is an infinity in which we might ride out this
Oh,
purgatory.
you'd like that, wouldn't you? That's not how it works, Billy Boy. Time is still moving. You're moving. I'm moving. She's moving. Smokey's moving. Time's moving forward. Tick tock, tick tock. Just because you're not aware of it doesn't mean it just stops. Time doesn't stop when you go to sleep. You just sleep, right? Do you sleep? How do you sleep? How do you sleep at night?
I don't.
Well, bad example then.
If you would choose to make this contract negotiation a litigation on the definition of time, then I have several briefs that we could prepare, and I'm sure that we could resolve the matter sometime.
Sometime
in-
when? Oh!
No.
Now, sir! Now is when the negotiation is happening. This is what I'm talking about. You're just going to stretch it out as long as you need to, aren't you?
Right now, we
What?
are still within the printed parameters of the agreed upon contract. If Neocortex wishes to change those terms now, we can renegotiate. I think we've been very cooperative on that matter.
So I have a question directed to the dragon. What is it that you value more, your soul, or all of the knowledge that you gathered while you were alive?
There's a moment of hesitation where it's not answering, but kind of looking right at you, Nira, and then says, "If I were to find myself bound to service in hell, I could be compelled to reveal my secrets. And indeed, that is why my soul fetches such a high price."
But that doesn't really answer my question. I'm asking you specifically. Which would you rather part with, your soul or your knowledge? Because as far as I can tell, all he wants is what you know. Well, mostly what he wants. So if we're going to negotiate, that means there's got to be some give and take on both sides.
I don't know how you propose to separate the two.
Well, how did you separate me from my memories?
That is a power that I carried in my mortal form.
Now, looking at His Highness, would you possess such a power that could make that kind of transfer?
He looks like he's about to answer, but then Neocortex immediately interrupts to say, to allow him access to the knowledge might as well just be giving the knowledge to him, at which point I am entirely at his mercy and have no leverage remaining at all.
What if,
Well, but you might have your soul, and your soul could go on to learn entirely new things.
is that? I turn to the prince and I'm like, is that what you want? You want what he knew?
Oh, no,
Do
I
you-
want both.
Well, what if you could only have one? Which would you pick?
I would pick both unless you can provide me with some additional offer in order to make up for the loss of whichever half you are holding from me.
Well, because as it stands, this contract negotiation could go on for ever.
And here's the thing. I am the only one that finds that an acceptable result.
Actually, it only has to go on for 10 days, at which point the contract is void.
That's not how it works.
That was the clause, was it not? If you do not succeed within 10 days.
No, that was not the clause at all. The clause has a time frame. But
Which
if
is?
the original assassin is not successful, then we send more. And believe me, I would have significant resources to put to that point. If we have to, we would kill everybody in a 5-mile radius if it comes to that. But I don't like
But-
to operate that way.
How long do you have to succeed? You don't have an infinite amount of time to succeed. No soul is worth waiting an infinity for. After all, you'd never get it. So there must be a time frame in which you must succeed, or
Let
you
us
fail.
let us establish some principal terms here. The subjective time that we are all experiencing right now does not count against execution of the terms of the contract.
And why do you say that? Are you the master of time here, or are we?
Because you are preventing me from exercising my resources in the interest of the contract, at which point I would be forced to consider you hostile parties, and therefore I don't think that the friendly sort of arrangement I've been hoping we could come to would be possible.
So what you're saying is if you were prevented in carrying out this, then you would fail.
No. What I'm saying is that you are choosing to define time as applying only to yourself and certain select individuals, while the rest of the multiverse is stopped.
That must be terribly inconvenient for you to know that we have that power, and perhaps that right. Must be very, very galling to lose that kind of power. To know that you're at our beck and call.
The rest of you, I would urge you to remember that you came to me with the intent that I would call off the assassins that I sent. It does not seem that Mr. Copperbeard is terribly interested in that outcome.
He's very interested in that outcome. I think we've been approaching this from from the incorrect perspective. Let's say, since we're in the spirit of compromise, I know you say you want both the Dragon Soul and their knowledge. That's great. But we are trying to find a middle ground here where everyone is happy. And would there be another option that would get you happy?
Yes, many. And I am much more pleased with this line of discussion.
I thought so.
The way I see it is the status quo is that I am to receive both the dragon's soul and his knowledge. And all that is required for me to collect is to continue and complete the assassinations. As of right now, I consider the timeline frozen until the rest of the universe is also unfrozen. You may choose to dispute that, at which point we can spend the next 100 years arguing about that.
We're going to put a pin in it. Right now, we're going to talk about what you want.
So, the way I see it, if I am to give up either the dragon's knowledge or the dragon's soul, or even both, well, I would hope to be compensated with something that I value equally. And there are many things that I think that you could provide for me. You have a number of powerful artifacts or access to them that I would be interested in. And for that matter, one of the things that we discussed in my tower was that your unique abilities to wander around in the frozen time gives you a significant advantage that I would love to make use of to eliminate some of my own personal vexations. Now, as promised, I would never dream of making you kill anyone whom you thought was good and didn't deserve it. But what if I were to tell you that there is a devil out there that is just as bad, if not worse, and who is causing enormous destruction and intends to take over the prime material plane? What if I told you where that devil was and you were able to go and destroy them for me? Or, for that matter, I don't even need them destroyed. Your fascinating little iron flask, were you to simply trap them in there and humble them and then deliver that to me? I would consider that enough to void the entirety of the dragon's contract.
All right, that's one. That seems a little too good to be true. Can I be honest with you?
Feel free to ask me any follow-up questions you would like.
Yeah, what's the guy's name?
Well, it is a devil of feminine persuasion named Dracarys.
Is that with two R's?
It's Dracarix.
I-X. Dracarix.
Now, I will not pretend to you that this is some ordinary individual, even as devils go. Dracarix is quite powerful, but then again, so are all of you, and you have the advantage of them being frozen in time until such point as you choose to unfreeze them.
What did they do to you?
Oh, well, they plotting my overthrow, of course.
Yeah, but a lot of people are plotting your overthrow.
So many.
Why this one? Why is she special?
I'm thinking of things that you could do for me. Whoever would like to can make an insight check.
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
I can try these things, but
I mean,
18.
29.
Okay.
30.
Nice.
Okay. Well, so here's a question. With that 29 and that 30, I want each of you to
9.
Okay. I want each of you to tell me who your insight check was for.
The Prince of Hell.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
Okay. Yeah. He looks to like it's not so much that this is a trick. Like he would definitely like you to go and either destroy or humble this particular devil, right? He would like that to happen. But you also, I think, can realize that he's not really out anything if you fail to do it. Right? Because he would make this whole agreement contingent on you being successful at it. So he is basically saying, this is a big task, but if you were to do it, I would consider that enough. But he is definitely like, with an insight that high, he's also really, he's not, as far as you can tell, he is not deliberately holding any specific information from you with an intent to lead you into a trap of some kind. Frankly, he would like you to be successful because that's what, that would be a big, thing off his plate, so to speak.
So what is she, like a old girlfriend or something?
No, not so much.
Is it your mom? Are you sending us to kill your mom?
No.
I have a problem. I'm just curious.
I don't have a mother such as you would understand the term.
All right.
So,
Daughter?
No relation other than the common geniality of being born from hell stuff.
Sure.
Now,
So like a second cousin then.
They are extremely powerful, and they have risen to a high level. Not as high as I am, of course, but enough that they have gotten a little too big for their britches, so to speak. And so that's why, were you to humiliate them by capturing them in a little iron flask, I would be able to leverage that and discourage any new ambitions, at least for another few thousand years. And it's not such a thing that I could not take care of myself, but why would I when I have such enterprising individuals as all of you looking for favors to do for me?
Well, when you put it like that.
So that's one option. We've already discussed and apparently dismissed the promise of other souls, but I maintain that's always on the table. And of course, there are several powerful magical artifacts either in your possession or that you have access to that could also go some way as offsetting the price of the dragon's soul, but you obviously don't wish to part with those, but that's why we're having this conversation. You see, you mentioned compromise earlier, and what I would say to that is that I feel no need to compromise because I'm already getting what I want. And I would be willing to give up some of that in exchange for something else. So it's a negotiation, but I am not currently in a position where I feel it necessary to give up anything that I have. But I like doing business. I like making deals, and I would love to be making a deal with all of you. It's clear
So-
you're all very powerful.
It seems as though if we were to accept such a thing, this contract would be voided. And I'll turn towards the dragon. But that means that you would also owe us something.
And
You would be benefiting from our actions. What are you prepared to give?
I would agree to not pursue vengeance against you.
That would not be a promise that I would consider to be valuable. Were
It's a
you
good
to
start, though.
pursue that, you would find yourself destroyed. So,
You would be right
Try
back
again.
here, all over again.
It
Or
seems
worse.
to me that you are not here for my benefit.
No, no, if it were up to me, you would not benefit from this at all. But it seems like you might. And that means that you owe us.
I
Our
disagree.
goal here is that everybody gets something that they want. That's our goal. So in that way, we are here for your benefit. But we're also here for his benefit. And we're here for our benefit. The perfect solution is one where everybody gets something. You don't get to be in hell. That's a win for you. This guy over here gets his second cousin knocked off. No problem. And we don't have to worry about our loved ones getting murdered in the night. So that's a win for everybody. But you would be in our debt should that happen.
It seems to me that you want this to happen regardless of my promising anything to you.
Well, I mean, maybe we can do something smaller and just void that tiny little portion of the contract rather than the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. Is that an option there, big guy? What if we just voided the time part and you still voided the assassin's part and you still got everything else?
As I mentioned before we arrived, modification of the contract does require acceptance of the terms from both parties. And so for the dragon to relinquish his claim to the assassinations.
Here's the thing, though, guys. I don't think you realize what a stalemate this is. Because, sure, you're going to keep sending assassins, but we're going to keep stopping them. That's what we do. Heroes of Legend, you may have heard of us. We're kind of a big deal. I don't think any assassin you could send could stand up to us. In fact, I think you know that any assassin you send couldn't stand up to us, or you wouldn't have us go after one of these demon people for you. You're aware of how powerful we are. You know that. And this is your castle. I'm not going to rub your rhubarb in your own home. But let's face facts here. You don't have all the power here. We're going to stop you. It's going to take a long time, but we're going to do it because that's what we do. We'd like to not be in that slog. We'd like to not keep you in that slog. Smokey over here, he can stay in the slog. It's fine. He's earned that as far as I'm concerned. But my point remains. This is a stalemate. You act like you don't have to do anything. But here's the thing. I was going to call you Chuckles, but that's his name. Here's the thing, Shiny. If you don't do anything, we win. And if you're okay with that, then we can leave. And we'll defeat one assassin that you send after our loved ones after the other. And this contract will never be completed because those people will never succeed.
I like you.
I get that a lot.
You are wrong in a couple of points, though. One is that I think you may be underestimating the level of aggression that I am capable of leveraging on this particular task. Now, it may come to a point where I feel like I'm extending more resources in the interest of completing this assassination than I am gaining from the value of this dragon's soul, but sometimes it's the principle of the thing.
You're not going to win this one, Shiny.
Maybe. But,
I'm gonna
I
do a
don't think-
persuasion on this guy.
alright. Go ahead and roll it then.
So that would be a 36.
Yeah, so he says,
And I want to persuade him that he is not going to win this one.
all right. So yeah, okay. So I've got it. So so he's considering it, and he just says, and I would wager that you don't want that slog either.
I did say as much.
But I'll confess, and as I said already, I would prefer some other arrangement. That is why we are all here. It's why you came to me. I am absolutely interested in making a bargain.
But here's the thing. You want us to go and kill this Dracarys,
Or capture
then we
it in
would
the Iron
still-
Flask. That would also be...
right? Or
Love that flask.
we
It's
would
pretty good.
say we even did that, and then we would have to come back here and still negotiate with this piece of crap. Because the contract has to be agreed upon by both sides. So why don't we just cut out the espionage trap and just do the negotiation now?
Just this is me as Christiana. I'm trying to just make sure I understand the rationale. So the arrangement he was saying is that he will basically relinquish any claim to the dragon's soul or his secrets if you have done this sufficient
Okay.
term. And the assumption is that the dragon would accept those terms.
Okay.
But when you were starting to say that the deal would instead be for only a part of, relinquishing those things, that's where the dragon might not be willing to accept that. Right? Like if the dragon is saying this change to the terms, like I'm going to give up what I have asked for in order to not be set free, I don't agree to that. Right? So the dragon has to agree to say, you no longer have to satisfy these assassinations in exchange for me being free. But, so he has to essentially say to the devils, you don't have to do that anymore.
So long as we complete the task.
Right. And so
Okay.
it would seem that Neocortex, at least so far, is taking the position that he is basically insisting that they should just render the whole thing null and void. But the devil is saying, I'm not going to say that because then I don't get anything. But if you give him something else to make up for that loss, that's what's being proposed. Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you were proposing that we will do the thing for the devil and not give the dragon what he wants, well, then Neocortex is going to say, I don't agree to those terms.
Well, I think what you were saying is that we don't want to have to come back to hell. So, let's wrap it all up in a nice bow. And so that way, when we do whatever to do a Cortex, it just all happens. And we don't have to come back here for another round.
So
That
we would
is,
probably have to come back anyway.
I am sure that we could, right now, in this room, create an addenda to the existing contract that states that when I have either confirmed the destruction of Dracarys, or am in possession of the iron flask containing Dracarys, the rest of the contract will be rendered null and void. And I can absolutely send a representative to collect the iron flask if you do not wish to return here to the Hells.
So you're getting two things. You're getting the iron flask as well.
Yeah, that's only if we don't kill her.
Can she be killed, or is this another trick?
She is native to the Nine Hells, but does not currently reside in the Nine Hells. You would be traveling to Gehenna to fight. If you are to destroy her form there, she would reform here in the Hells.
So that part was as a deception, then. I figured as much.
I did offer an alternative, and to be fair, if you destroyed her in Gehenna and then pursued her to the Hells and destroyed her in the Hells, she would be destroyed permanently.
Well, let's not spend too much time in hell as we have to. Is the contract null if we destroy her in Gehenna and she shows up here? Like, our role is done then.
I suppose that would be acceptable. Certainly that would be a humbling of the type that I was looking for. That would also be... I accept those terms as well. Destruction that forces her to retreat to the Hells, where she is once again in my domain, would be an acceptable alternative. So then, that, or her presence in the flask, along with the flask itself.
Mm-hmm. Well?
So if she's defeated in Gehenna and forced to come back here, that's what you said, right?
Yes.
I mean, we can do that. That's not out of our capabilities. What do you think, gang? Should we give it a shot?
We should know more about her before we make any deal.
What kind of power does she have?
I'm sure it's something that you all would be quite adept at handling. You in particular, Cadence, with your favored enemy of dragons. The name is a bit of a clue, I would think. She is
That's what I
certainly
thought.
draconic in her form.
So we will get to meet a dragon!
Well, if you think
Again.
of the being that evil dragons worship as a god, then yes.
Well, I'll admit that's a little disappointing.
So rather than what are her powers, because we'll figure that out, I suppose, as we go, is there maybe a specific weakness that might make this a little easier?
I would suggest right now that the primary advantage you have is that she is frozen in time until you choose to unfreeze her.
Yeah, that's not as much of an advantage as you might think.
Well, just the fact that you can walk right up to her is pretty significant compared to your experience were that not the case.
Can she be bound?
It would take some doing, but in theory, she does have a physical form.
That's not really much of an answer.
What
Do you really know much about her?
suggest? You may
Does
has
it take steel or cold iron? Is it silver? Or does it make magic? Is it a rope of holy matter? Is it the hair of a foregone relative? Anything specific.
Let me put a similar question to you. Can a mountain be moved?
So she's as dangerous
Mira?
or powerful as a mountain?
It's more a matter of what are you. Is it possible? Yes. Am I offering a specific, quick, and easy tip for immediate immobilization? I'm afraid I don't know one. I'm saying that she has physical form, and were you to have some way of completely immobilizing her, I don't know how she would be able to break free if it were sufficient strength. She is a devil, so I know that some of you have magics that are specific in their effects against fiends. Many of those would be effective, although to be sure, she is extraordinarily powerful. And that should be taken into consideration. She will be able to shrug off many such effects that would bind lesser fiends. But is it possible? Yes.
Well, I mean,
she
what's the
have-
worst that can happen? We give it a shot, it doesn't work, and we're back where we started.
Yeah, let's give it a shot. What's the worst that could happen?
Why do people keep asking that particular question?
Well, I wasn't
Do you
really
want me
asking
to
you,
list out the
Chuckles.
things that could happen? Because I don't really want to.
Yeah, please
Alaric,
Please
I
do
don't
it.
know if this will sway you either way, but there is a certain entity that you were keen to see gone. And I believe their home plane is Gehenna.
So we're gonna
As
hunt
much-
down 2 monsters while we're there.
As much
I'm
as I
not
want
sure
my
if that's for
revenge,
or against, so
as much as I want my revenge, I don't want to jeopardize what we're doing for that. But if it happened to be nearby,
I mean, we're already there.
see, y'all not murder hobos until I bring up Jinxie, and then you're all, yeah, let's kill the beast. You know, that's
Oh wait, Jinxie? Oh yeah. I'm in.
Yeah, that is where Gehenna has come up before.
That's right. Oh yeah.
Who's Jinxie? No, I know who Jinxie is. I'm just kidding. I didn't think she was that bad.
Oh, she's a jerk.
It was always interesting, but it was always painful too.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I don't want
let's
to
make
stay.
sure we have this spelled out properly, and then we can do this.
Yeah, let's do it. Because this hell air is really wrecking havoc on my fur. I would like to be out of here.
Neocortex then just says, that would do it then. If they are successful, then I am released. I would you would hold no binding or power over me. And, the Prince of Hell kind of just says, if they're successful.
Oh, Neocortex, you had your chance. Our deal with you is not finished when you are released. If we have to travel to Gehenna to kill a devil or a demon or whatever the hell this is, then I'm going to find out where your soul ends up. Unless you would like to make sure that I feel comfortable. I didn't think so.
The cloud of smoke actually, just sort of billows up to be right in your face and says, when I am set free, I will be waiting for you.
I hope you never sleep again.
I didn't actually need to sleep before. I don't think that's actually going to change now that I no longer have my mortal body.
Enjoy your memories while you have them. They will be gone. And I will
Try
leave
and
you
come
empty.
after me, and you will find yourself leading to destruction.
You couldn't
Didn't
defend
we
yourself
already have this
before.
argument? I mean, look at where you are now. I think you should probably sit down on your little jar over there and be quiet.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. Instead of Smokey, forgetting all my nicknames. Instead of Smokey going off to wherever he goes, what if we get the jar? Would that be cool?
You want the jar?
Well, with the soul
With
in it,
him
of
in
course.
it.
That would be an acceptable term to me, but as previously discussed, in order to amend the contract, Neocortex would also have to agree.
But when the contract is complete, you have no claim on the jar.
But he will no longer be imprisoned in the jar either.
Maybe we can put him back.
I'm just saying, what if we got the jar, though? With the minute.
The jar is not the soul.
Right. No, I'm saying, but I don't want to get the soul without a carrying case.
My point is that Neocortex will not agree to let you have his soul. I am fine with giving you the jar, but that does not come with the soul included.
But don't you have the soul?
I do now, but
Yeah.
if we are to change this agreement, we need Neocortex's to agree to change the contract.
So you don't have any way that people could, like, I don't know, maybe buy out contracts? I mean, businesses do it all the time.
Is that what you are interested in doing? And
I mean, if we
Neocortex
buy
is
out
like
the
saying,
contract-
I
wait a
guess it
minute.
depends on the price tag.
Yeah.
The Prince of Hell just says, this is intriguing, but difficult. You see, I am bound by the contracts that I agree to. If you were to buy out that contract, you would only maintain possession of his soul so long as you fulfilled the terms of the contract.
I see. And by doing killing the dragon god, that's just nulling the contract, right? That
is a gift to me.
I see.
And it is the gift, the price that I would accept for relinquishing the contract. If
but
you
not
were
the
to
soul.
buy out the contract.
So
is different.
I turn to look at the smoky dragon. How would you feel about us taking over your contract?
Why would I ever agree to such a thing?
Well, you wouldn't agree if we buy it out. You wouldn't have anything to do with it.
I think you're bluffing.
Do you?
I
You
do.
thought that when we came to kill you, too, and look at where you are.
We're just going to keep bringing that up, just FYI.
Over and over and over again.
I don't believe you. You would only own my soul if you have already performed this task that the devil asks of you to buy the contract, and then to carry out the assassinations that you came here to stop, just for your own petty revenge of me. Frankly, if you were the sort willing to do that, then you came to the right place, didn't you?
Well, we had a long discussion about how we're not the sort who are willing to do that. And we're not going to go into that again. You're probably too heavy to lug around anyway. We try to travel light. Shall we get going?
Do we have an agreement then?
You all kind of glance over to where the Prince of Hell was standing, and before him on the table are a bunch of really they look like crisp pieces of paper, but like printed on gold. It's like gold leaf, but picking it up, it holds its form and doesn't like flop around. But it's a bunch of very fine golden sheets, and he says, "I have contract addenda forms here ready for all of your signatures."
No. No.
We're more of a handshake school.
Yeah. We don't
Oh,
we don't sign contracts in the hells. No. We know
I'm-
better.
Well, it turns out that here in the Hells, we do sign contracts.
Well, then I guess nobody gets what they want today, and we will just continue to kill your assassins and
I'm going to go over and take a look at it.
All right,
I'm going to ask for Rashama's guidance before I try
sure.
to understand this.
Go
thing.
ahead and make an investigation check.
Also, you can boop yourself with. No, is that one we gave him?
Guidance is what he was
Yeah.
I
doing.
just said I will ask
Okay.
Rashama
Yeah.
for guidance
Mhm.
before doing so. Trying to be subtle. Wow, that's about as bad as it gets. Yeah. 15.
Okay. So here's the thing. You can read it well enough that the broad strokes of what you agreed to is definitely there. It's basically saying that you are entering into an agreement where essentially acting on behalf of Neocortex, you are agreeing to perform a different service for the Prince of Hell, namely the destruction of the form in Gehenna or the capturing in an iron flask of Dracarys. What? My laptop's making noises at me. You either agree you agree to do those things, and upon completion of that task, both the Prince of Hell and Neocortex will release the other of their previously agreed upon terms, and Neocortex would not be restored to his physical body, but would have his soul, no longer owned by the Hells. And Prince of Hell would have had what he wanted, and your involvement in the whole matter would also be concluded. However, so you can see all of that there, and it is as you discussed it. But there's also it's taking a lot of words to say that.
This isn't exactly what we agreed upon.
Isn't it?
No. You already agreed to the terminology that if she is defeated in Gehenna, that's not what it says here. It says if she's destroyed in Gehenna. But there may be other ways to bind this creature.
So let me clarify here that I don't think we have to totally nail down the exact legalese that's in this contract. We can have it at least be somewhat abstract. But what I was trying to describe is that everything you actually agreed to is there. It's kind of like buried in so much legalese that you feel like it's a little bit hard to know what all of those other parts are saying. And you try reading it. Well, so first of all, never mind. I was gonna pull a thing where like it's written in Infernal, but never mind. I'm not. That's not happening. The whole point here, right? Obviously, you wouldn't. So, he's not even trying that. So, but the point is, it's just very dense. And reading it, you feel like you understand what it's saying, and it says what you agreed on. It's just extremely verbose about it, which obviously is suspicious. But with your 15, you were not able to find anything that says, "Oh, this is a problem."
Yep, that's why I just focused on the words we had earlier. And
Okay,
not,
well,
not
so
regarding
what
events.
I'm just trying to say, your
Mm-hmm.
15 was not high enough to find any actual problem with it.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Hmm.
So,
What
like,
role
if you quibble about the word there and he says, well, yes, but if you look at page 3F, right there in section 3, it describes destroyed as being one of those 5 different categories, and they are the ones that we discussed previously. It does not require permanent destruction of her form in the hells, only the forcing of her retreat to the hells if she is in Gehenna, or the destruction of her in the hells, whichever should take place. And then, of course, the caveat of capturing in the Iron Flask is superseding either of those.
All right.
What role did he have to make for that? Was that
Well,
investigation?
that investigation, yeah.
All right, because I have something specific that I want to look for.
Okay.
Regarding if this is not completed, if there are any consequences to us for not completing this, aside from, the contract just won't be nullified.
Right.
So, yeah.
Go ahead and make a roll.
Okay. And investigation, right?
Mhm.
19.
You find there's some language in there that is a little tricky at first, but basically what clues you in is that it specifically talks about how when you are successful and all of these other things happen, you are then considered completely free of obligation and everything. But what you realize is there is no other place where it says that anything is done. It means that nothing happens to you if you haven't done it, but the contract will be in force in perpetuity until it is ended by your success in this task. So, if nothing else, you would be under contract with the devil forever until you are able to complete it by doing this. It doesn't necessarily mean he owes you or anything. It's just the idea of having an active infernal contract is a little bit of a, you might not want that just hanging over your head forever, especially if it gets to the point where, but his, if you ask about that, would you ask about it, or
Oh, yeah. And I'd definitely tell everybody.
he would just say, well, I just didn't want to rush you. Obviously, I didn't. If you determined that you traveled there and determined, yep, you're not ready yet, and you wished to do additional preparations, you wanted to go somewhere else and do something else and do all of those things beforehand, it wouldn't change any of the terms of the contract. You are not on a timetable. It gives you the luxury of taking as long as you like. That's my intention there. But if you like, I can take that out and ask that you complete this on a timetable.
Let's see. Well, but timetables are kind of tricky things right now, aren't they?
They are, indeed. And in fact, in pursuant to the definition that I discussed previously, to my way of thinking, the subjective time we are experiencing right now due to your magic abilities do not include the advancement of time on my master clock, so to speak, here in the hells. So, if the rest of the universe is still frozen, that clock is not ticking. However, were you to set time in motion again, it would.
So basically, this contract continues going until either the assassinations are complete or we have done this task.
The assassinations, if they were to be completed, we have to include in this addendum a temporary suspension of the activity leading to those assassinations, because otherwise it just disrupts the entire premise of our addendum.
I would hope so.
They are temporarily suspended until such time as you choose to abandon your quest, or other events should change the circumstances.
Other events?
For example, we are negotiating an addendum to the contract right now. We could do so again.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Whatever you decide.
What the heck?
Look
Let's
it over,
go for
Megan.
it.
Mugen.
Amethyst turned into a panda 10 minutes ago. Just didn't want to interrupt. might
Katie's just
notice
like
now.
riding around
Oh, panda form.
on her back.
Nice.
No
Okay.
one understands trickery as you do, Mugen. Please look this over carefully.
Well, I have looked at a few contracts in my day.
Yes, and in fact, I will actually let you roll this with advantage.
Nice. All right, we'll go with that advantage then. And this would be an investigation.
Yes.
So that is a 20, but not a natural one.
Yeah. Here's the thing. You feel like you're looking in all of that language for the sorts of tricks you would expect to find, but it's actually pretty straightforward. It's just very flowery text, but you're not finding any hidden clauses that aren't part of what you're already discussing here. It looks legit based on what you guys agreed to. It is just setting it forth in legal terminology rather than informal. But the details of it are what you talked about.
I mean, it'll honestly, and I'm as surprised as you guys. It looks fine. I can only assume that he actually doesn't think we're going to pull it off.
If I may,
Sure.
I certainly understand my own reputation. And I understand that good aligned creatures have quarrels with evil. I understand this. I understand your hesitation. But from my perspective here, you are all very powerful individuals, and I would like to maximize the possibility of doing future business with you. And frankly, tricking you with subtle language into something you are unhappy with does not lead to repeat customers. And to be frank, if you are successful in humbling Dracarix, I will be extremely pleased with that outcome, without needing to resort to any additional profits.
All right. Well, I've certainly signed worse contracts. I go ahead. Why not?
So as you go to sign it, like a quill just kind of appears. And
Oh, Andy.
yeah, but as you go to write with it, you immediately feel as you're signing that it's drawing blood out of your hand and made you sign in blood.
A little dramatic, don't you think?
I like the old flair. You know, it's classic.
It's a little chintzy. Little chintzy is all I'm saying.
A matter of taste, I suppose.
Yeah, well, clearly.
See, look, I got in trouble the last time I did something with blood. Is it necessary for me to sign it if other people sign it?
Yeah, can I just sign one as a representative of the group? Is that cool?
Because it's not like I don't have a dog in this fight. You know, I want to see this succeed, obviously. But it was definitely frowned upon, the use of blood. I'm gonna have to, yeah.
It does seem like you're putting an awful lot of the burden of responsibility on one member of your party.
I'm used to it.
Amethyst
really
walks
just
over
that
and
one
signs.
detail.
Amethyst signs. In for a penny.
Alaric signs it. In for a mountain.
Yeah, each of you experienced the same thing. Like, it's not painful exactly, but you just definitely feel blood coming. Your hand gets a little bit cold as you sign because you can just feel blood coming out of your fingers, feeding the quill. And your signature appears in blood, which almost looks embossed on the fine gold sheet.
Amethyst is still a panda, to be clear.
Paw print. Thump.
This is where it comes out that Ket's dark secret is that he can't read or write.
Oh no!
Oh,
He doesn't have blood.
he doesn't have blood.
So here's
Keeps
the
it
thing.
vampire the
Like,
entire time.
are you joking or like you?
No, sure, I'm serious. Why not? A bard that can't read or write. Let's go with it.
I mean, yeah, if you like,
Sure.
but that is not necessary as long as you take the quill and mark the page. That is sufficient.
Sure. Just put a big X on it. Wait, that's an X, right? Is this an X?
Good job.
I thought it was a K for Ket.
Yeah, man. Hey, Cadence, you want to sign it?
No.
Wait a minute, I signed it. Why aren't you signing it? Come on,
I already
man.
said I didn't want to sign it.
Come on.
I mean, I'll help kill or trap this Dracarix, but I don't need to sign a contract.
Okay.
Very well. Enough of you have signed that I consider it binding. So then, would you like transportation to Gehenna, or would you prefer to find your own way?
I mean, if you can take us right to her, shoot.
Yeah, man. If you can give us a ride.
Maybe a bit of a distance so we can prepare.
Tell me what you would like.
Let's just go right to her. Let's get this done. Snip, snap.
I mean, we can always, back up once we get there, once we know where she is.
Yeah. We'll just stop time again. Or resume time being stopped. Whatever we'll do.
Then is everyone ready to go?
Yeah.
So, does anyone know where the knocking is coming from? Anyone?
I don't hear
We've been
it.
trying to figure that out all game.
I don't hear it, so I don't know.
Dum,
Not-
It makes me
dum,
think
dum,
it's
dum.
me, but I don't hear it when I take my headphones off either.
Mm.
I hear no knocking.
It's like demons or something. I don't know.
Let me turn my volume up.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like someone like
Sounds like
knocking
a
on
knee
floor
hitting
or
the table or something. Yeah, like someone's knee is shaking or something.
It is actually not me. That's usually one of my habits. But it's actually not me. I promise.
I kept my mic muted most of the episode, so did it stop at any point, or did it just...
I don't.
It did a couple
I
times.
stopped noticing it for a while, but
but then it started up again.
I don't hear it now.
Yeah.
But you
The
know.
drumming
viewers.
has stopped for now.
Anyway,
It's the viewers, clearly.
It's not extreme, but it is just like if there's someone.
Yes,
Yeah.
Starla, yes, Starla, we know you've
Okay.
been muted. We know you're a good girl. It's not you. No, it's just cute. You keep doing this like hands-off thing.
Yeah. So, Nira and Cadence, please make an insight check.
Okay.
24.
Same.
Inside twins.
I think you realize with a little bit of a look that he gives you as he essentially says it's okay for you to not sign, is that this is just another example of him basically just in subtle ways dividing you from each other and getting you bickery, and he's absolutely doing those sorts of things on purpose.
I did legitimately get in trouble last time.
I know, but
Like
now
me.
it's a situation where everyone else signed a contract except you two, and it's like,
Hey.
so it's like it's not a big deal. Like you looked at the contract, you don't think there's any hidden traps in there, but you also think that it's just like there's kind of a metaphysical weight to the idea of signing an infernal contract, and you guys let the rest of your party do that for you and refrained from taking on that shared responsibility. Which is fine, really,
We were the same people who were like, let's just kill your parents. It's okay. Let's just kill them and wait
It's-
10 days and bring them
I
back.
think that was the guilt clause in the contract, wasn't
Yeah.
it? That you just exercised.
Can we reflect on how subtle that burn was that Christiana just slipped in there, though? It was just like, just a little... I mean, I assumed we would be making a deal, quote, with the devil when we came to negotiate a contract. I don't think it's that
what you
big a
came here to do,
concept.
right?
It's literally why we came.
Yeah.
It's true.
I'd like to hear from Otterkey. No, wait, we all know where you stand. Never mind.
Yeah, he signed it immediately.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know, do we?
Yeah, you guys look over there, and he has that same little glowing rectangle in his hands that Mugen had before, and he's like clearly playing these like matching shapes on it. He's like, what?
Yeah. We don't know if he did.
I think we're ready to go, Glata. That is your name, right?
Your attempt at pronunciation gives me happiness, but
The
perhaps
infernal
not in
tongue
the way.
doesn't suit a mortal.
Oh, it's true. I just enjoy when people try.
It's very big of you.
It's not like you're a fey dresser.
I'm not sure. This is Christiana. I'm not sure I know what you mean.
Oh, don't you remember Alaric's attempt to pronounce the dressmaker's name?
Oh, right.
the
Oh, yeah.
Milk?
Okay, yeah. Okay, sorry. I was missing the reference there. Okay, it's like, I think as you say that, he kind of just says, he does make excellent clothing, does he not?
Honestly, I can't tell, but it looked nice.
So then, Gehenna, I can offer you a portal to your specifications.
Can I just ask one more thing about Gehenna?
Sure.
How many heads does she have? in dragon form.
You mean Dracarys?
Yeah.
That is a good question.
Yeah. And I think, with a wink at the fourth wall, the Prince of Hell says, I think the spirit speaking through you is asking a question he already knows the answer to.
Son of a bitch, that's what I thought. Okay.
One more thing. Is Gehenna dangerous on its own? Just to be there, is that life-threatening?
It's cold.
All right.
Well, change of pace. It's really warm in here.
It's a dry heat.
Except when it's not.
I have noticed. I'm gonna need so much conditioner later.
All right, then. So, now Gehenna has many varied climates and many threats, of course, that would ordinarily be a peril to any who would dare travel there. But not only will you be skipping the majority of the trek across the wastelands there, but most of the threats that would already be present there are frozen in time and no threat to you. There is a fortress in the icy wastes, and that is where Dracarys currently resides. I can send you right there if you like.
Yeah, it
Okay.
sounds great. Let's do it.
Let me know when you're ready.
Excuse
May
me.
as well.
We were born ready. Let's do this.
Uh, he snaps his fingers and a swirling vortex of red and black energy appears in the end of the room.
Well, that's pleasant.
Neocortex looks at all of you and just says, all of this is your fault. And then goes back into the jar.
I flip him the bird.
You were
It-
born faulty.
It always is.
God, I hate that guy.
I hate to be cliched, but I'm going to jump in first.
All right. Whoop.
There he goes.
It
Well, just
it
typecast
ripples and
himself.
cracks, and little bits of like red lightning spark out around the edges of the portal.
Amethyst, stop being a panda for to jump in the vortex.
Oh, I want to be a panda. Wait, she just jumps through the vortex as a panda. She can't
Yeah.
talk.
What's the problem?
Okay.
I'm following the panda.
Yep, I'll go on through.
All right.
I grab Cadence's hand and we run in the opposite direction of the portal and don't go with them.
Smart. Finally.
No, we go in the portal.
Yeah. It's just like suddenly thinking it's like, okay, it's the plot of Brazil now, where you're just on the run through this bureaucratic hellscape. Okay, so everyone goes through, I assume.
Yeah.
All right, and now it turns out that one of the maps that I was telling you was a possibility. Turns out, actually, look at that.
Oh!
Let's see. I have you all in
Surprise,
slightly
surprise,
different places. Hang on. There we go. Move everyone around. Oops. Gosh, it's musical boxes, and then here we go. So there we go. And so all of you emerge from this this portal into a raging blizzard that is notable for the fact that everything is stopped. There is no wind, and you see all of these bits of snow and sleet and hail frozen in the air. Ahead of you are torches that light an otherwise pitch black sky, and you see ahead of you a bridge over a frozen lake leading forward to a castle. At the other end of the bridge, in the distance, you see a pair of adult white dragons flanking a large central staircase, where at the front of this castle you see a gargantuan 5-headed dragon.
That's a lot of dragon.
Yeah, but there's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of us?
8.
One head at a time, guys. One head at a time.
We have to empty the bottle anyway.
I don't think she's gonna fit in there.
I don't think we ought to give him the bottle.
Yeah, that seems like a mistake.
He didn't say we had to give him the bottle. All we have
No,
to do
he
is
did.
defeat. Wait. All we have to do is defeat her here and force her return back to Gehenna. We put her in the bottle, go back to Gehenna, and release her.
No,
She's
so
in Gehenna.
you are in Gehenna. If you
Or
destroy
sorry, go
her
back
here,
out of Gehenna.
she'll go to the hells. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we just got to chop off all our heads or whatever.
But if we bottle her here and we take her back, we can release her in that other domain.
I don't want to go back
Contract
to hell.
fulfilled.
Can we not go back to hell? if we can
No,
avoid it?
okay. So, Mark, you're trying to find weasel words in the contract language that we abstracted. The requirement for the bottle is that you deliver the flask with her inside.
Right. Or she's defeated and forced back to Gehenna.
No.
Back to the
No,
hells.
she's in Gehenna.
Yes,
Oh,
but
sorry, back to the 9 hells, yeah.
okay. So putting her in the flask and then releasing her in the hell. I mean, okay.
Is she not defeated when she's put into the flask?
Not really.
Well, yeah, because as soon as you let her out,
We could make her kill the Prince of Hell.
Or bow down before him?
yeah, okay.
Just say no, Christiana.
yeah,
Just say no.
I think
That's
that is
fair.
what I am saying is that the terms are either physical form destroyed, forcing her to retreat to the hells, or delivery in the flask, including the flask.
All right.
You know, just because he didn't put any special sneaky traps in there does not mean he didn't make it ironclad in terms of getting him what he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so there you are. What would you like to do?
We
How
need to
long
take
has
a
it?
nap.
Yeah, I was like, how long has it been since our last long rest?
A
Because
long
it's,
time.
It's been a while.
it's not that I've used a ton of spells,
Mhm.
but like it takes time to like
Yeah.
this is a whole other thing.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's been significant. You guys, you spent some time obviously in the underneath the mountain, and then your whole travel through to see the Prince of Hell, and then all the negotiations. It's been a long day.
Whew. So
I
long,
mean,
I
it-
couldn't even talk through part of it.
Yeah. You were really preoccupied there for a
Oh,
while.
man.
I
Just so
thought we
parched.
lost you.
So Magic Mansion? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I can cast that for sure.
It's definitely cold out here, so
Yeah,
it's like
Burr.
I feel like cold is something where, you know, the idea of how these things work when the time is stopped is kind of, it's hard to know what things. I think like a smell that requires on the movement of air particles and so on, like smoke. Smelling smoke seems like something that wouldn't work very well unless you like literally moved your head right through the smoke. But cold is just kind of an absence of ambient heat around you. I think you feel the cold. You wouldn't feel wind, so it's maybe not as bad as if things were everything was moving, but it's definitely cold.
Well, before we do that, do we want to take a slightly closer look? Like, obviously not close enough to, like, wake them or anything, but do we want to take inventory of what we're dealing with before we retreat and make a plan?
I mean, we're dealing with a 5-headed dragon god.
Well,
I'm
yes,
not
but
sure.
if Cadence got a close enough look, she might be able to determine, like, what all of the heads do. Maybe.
But
How
they're
close
all
do you
like
have to be?
different colors. I think.
Let's take a nap
Yeah.
first.
No, I mean we can walk up and take a look, and then we can. I'll go.
All right.
I'll go with Cadence just in case.
Okay.
Well, I'm not going to let you go alone, but we do have to be careful about this. Any
Oh, I know.
intention we have towards this thing could set it off.
I mean, look how quickly the prince came out of it.
Do you
Well,
want
but you had-
Windwalk?
This is why I say we should nap first, just in case something happens.
Well, but I don't know
Well,
what to
I'm like
prepare.
pretty. Yeah.
Oh, you want to select spells based on what
Yeah.
Cadence sees.
Yeah.
Well, I could cast Windwalk or something else on you to help conceal you while you
Well, I
sneak
don't
around.
really think that's like if we're not intending to wake them at all, like it requires intent for them to become reanimated. I believe.
I wouldn't mind us holding the consideration that there might be something out there that isn't frozen. However, just throwing it out there that we think everything is frozen. Everything that we've seen so far indicates that. We've seen nothing that would indicate opposite. But I still think that it's something to throw into the conversation.
We haven't encountered a dragon god before. This is true. Or have you guys?
Well,
Technically,
kind of.
Kind of?
it was a
Missed
lot
the dragon
smaller.
god? Dang it.
Well, I mean, if you count Sitzlebek, you could also count Rushama, but I think that was just me, so
Yeah, then we don't.
Well, Shama.
You did miss dinosaurs, though.
What?
Yeah. It was pretty exciting.
Hey, you guys have the run of the plains right now. You could go see dinosaurs.
Amethyst is going to turn into a T-Rex.
Ooh.
Right
Maybe
now?
I don't
if we
have,
have a
T-Rex,
spare, maybe you should make one of those tuning forks here in case we do need to return.
sounds like a job for
Absolutely.
Super Archie.
Would you mind, Arch?
So how about so Ket can set up the magic mansion, and whoever wants to go check out the dragon stuff, kind of from a distance, we can go do that. The rest of you guys can get warm.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I cast the mansion, go inside, and start eating some chicken.
All right.
I'm joining Ket with the chicken.
Oh, yeah.
One more reason to stay outside.
Do you have any specific preference for where you want the doorway? I mean, just anywhere is fine. I mean, wherever, if you want it in any specific place, I'll put it there.
Okay, see where I am?
Mm-hmm.
I will have 1, 2, 3, 4 squares to the left.
Okay.
Yeah, right there. Yep.
All right. So, like,
Yep.
Yeah, like right there.
I think it's 10-foot doorway, right? Is that right?
I don't even think it says the doorway.
All right. I feel like I remember hearing that, but
yeah, it might be.
if not, it's fine. I'll look it up later.
5 feet wide, 10 feet tall.
That's what I was thinking. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So you create the doorway there. Got Mugen and Ket heading that way. We'll say Otterkey's going with you guys. I think he is uncomfortably recognizing that this sub-zero temperature is not great with all the exposed metal on his armor. I'm gonna have to line it.
He's not on fire anymore. It's his own fault.
So who else is going up to check out the dragon in the meantime?
I'm going.
Amethyst.
Is Ket going?
No, he went in the mansion.
Um.
Also, are you still a
Um,
T-Rex?
Oh yeah, I'm totally still a T-Rex.
T-Rex.
She's gonna hang back
Okay.
and try not to cause more attention that can be
Alright.
drawn.
So not going in the mansion, but also not going up ahead. Just kind of.
Running around as a T-Rex,
All right.
trying to reach things with my hands.
Gotcha. Okay. So how close do the rest of you want to get up here?
How much can we see?
Well, here, let me zoom out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm waiting until you move us a little bit.
Yeah. So right here where you are, you are. Hang on. You're like 100 and. You're, okay. How about
Maybe
this?
move us to the edge of the lake.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like
Okay.
right, not cross the bridge.
All right. So, oops. Right here, you are 90 feet away.
Alaric is deliberately not looking at that. Instead, paying attention to two of them
Mm-hmm.
and looking off to the sides.
Okay. You can all make perception checks from here if you like.
Okay.
Tell me, each of you, when you roll, what you are looking for.
I'm looking at each of the heads to
Mhm.
see if I can determine anything about them
I'm gonna
that
actually
might be useful in battle.
I'm gonna move you up just a little bit more so I can show you all on the screen. There we go. Okay.
What were we making? Was it perception?
Perception, yeah.
Okay, 22.
22. I'll come back to you, but what were Nira and Alaric looking for, and what would you get?
I'm specifically, I want to look for any kind of. I feel that like that might be more of a ring thing, or maybe like an arcana. Any kind of like magical defenses that might
Mm-hmm.
Prohibit us from getting closer. I mean, not that I necessarily want to be, up in its face, but like other people, or like this one,
Right.
Alaric. Yeah. he likes to wail on things.
Sure.
So mine is a 21.
Okay. I think, though, if you're specifically looking for magical stuff, that it's actually probably an arcana roll.
Yeah. All right. I moved my dice.
That's okay. You can roll again.
That is only a 13.
All right. You can't see any from here.
Yeah. I also want to make a sweep with my ring for any like invisible hidden
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah, you don't see anything invisible. You do not detect the presence of anything invisible. How about you, Alaric? You're looking off to the sides and at these other dragons, right?
I'm kind of gauging to see if there's alternative ways to approach this as opposed
Okay.
to the bridge. So
Okay.
looking off to the side and making sure if the two of them seem nervous at all to pull them back. They probably won't be, but
Okay,
just in case.
watching your colleagues then. I thought you meant like the two other dragons there.
No. Watching the
Okay.
two of them.
Okay.
Because if they're frozen, they can't retreat, but I can detect that.
Right.
Plus, I'm looking at alternative side routes and seeing how deep this chasm is. I got a 25.
Okay. Yeah. So now that you're no longer over the, like the depths of this lake, there is a ledge here below this part of the bridge that's only 20 feet below the level of the bridge. And then it actually slopes upward so that when you get up to the side of the platform here, there's a little stairway. So here at the bridge, it's 20-foot drop, but then up by the stairway, it's only 10 feet up the stairs to that level. So you could go around that way. That's not the case on the other side. The other side is has a cliff over there. Hang on, let me see if I can show this a bit better on the screen here. Yeah. So the other side is cliff, and it's it's a wall. So there's a wall that theoretically could be climbed, but it's wouldn't be trivial to do that. The bridge is obviously the most straightforward way, but you could kind of also go around there. But this castle itself is on like a tiny island in the middle of this big lake, so there's not really any other approaches other than the bridge and what you see before you.
Okay.
And your companions, other than the obvious, just that it's cold out and you guys are in an intense circumstance, they don't seem to be reacting in any way that's unexpected.
Good.
All right, you, Cadence, you were looking at the heads, and what was your roll?
22.
Okay. Well, you definitely recognize that the 5 colors of the heads represent the 5 colors of chromatic dragons that you are aware of. There's blue dragons breathe lightning, white dragons breathe cold, red dragons breathe fire, green dragons breathe poison, and black dragons breathe acid. And it seems very likely to you that each head probably has the breath of the corresponding corresponding dragon color. You suspect that the fact that it's got multiple heads probably means that it would be very difficult to surprise in any way. Not to mention the fact that it's also kind of a dragon god, so probably it's got things like true sight and everything. Anyway, and it would it would be very difficult to catch it unawares in any way. You think that with the size of it and those, the length of those necks, that you think it's got probably a reach of about 20 feet just for biting. And that's on top of, breath weapons.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say it would be your estimation that this thing is kind of the equivalent of... it's probably not identical to the idea of fighting 5 ancient dragons all at once, but it's not that. The one big limitation, obviously, is that they can't travel separately, right? Like, they are all together and cannot separate. So, at the very least, it's all one location.
Does it look clumsy? Like, because it's so big, does it look like it might have issues moving around?
That's not your impression.
Okay. What about
how many feet does it have?
It has 4
standard
legs,
4?
other than the 5 heads coming out of like the neck and shoulders. Otherwise, its anatomy is very similar to other dragons. 4 legs and 2 wings. I'll as you're looking, I'll zoom in here on this very excellent Tiamat token I found.
the 2 white dragons in the front, how old do they look like they might be?
So by comparison in size, they look like they are adult, not ancient.
Okay.
And obviously the tokens don't make it obvious here, but the positioning of how you're looking at them here is that it would appear that they are being given instruction by the big one. Like they are both like at the side looking up to it reverentially, and it appears to be speaking to them.
Okay. Does it show any signs of movement at all?
No, everything's completely frozen, just the way you would kind of hope. There's no sign of any premature movement.
Like she's not winking at us or anything?
No.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to know, either of you?
Do you remember back in the Feywild, those 3 dragons that were trapped by that object?
Mm-hmm.
Do we think I have some recollection of Amethyst being familiar with, I don't know if she could even create such a thing, or do you think that would work on something this powerful?
I mean, it wouldn't be able to do anything but stare at that object. That was what the other ones did, and it would probably start fighting with itself.
That would be funny.
I know.
Just saying.
It might reduce its ability to withstand the call of the bottle, though.
It's
And that might
possible,
be
but
that might be something Ket can reproduce.
5 heads. I don't think this dragon is stupid enough to fall into that bottle. I know it worked on that.
Is it
I
have to
know
be
it
stupid
worked
or just
before.
tired enough?
I don't know. I have a feeling it's not going to be a simple task trapping this dragon in that bottle.
Well, it wasn't super simple to trap the Mistress of the Dark either. But
Well,
I mean, if we had an object like that other thing that we encountered before, and it was distracted by that, it might be less able to fight off compulsions such as polymorph and getting sucked into the bottle.
One note here, just for your benefit, Viv, is you recall that object that you actually was Amethyst with you there?
She was there, but she wasn't. Viv herself was not there.
Okay. 'Cause I was
I
just-
thought she wasn't with us.
Yeah, I don't think
No,
she was
she-
with you guys, was she?
I believe she was with us, but like right when we before we made the decision to start that fight, that was like her last session present, I
Okay.
believe.
Well,
And then like we had the fight without her, so
without going back to double check right now, what we can say is even if she wasn't there, you've told her about it since. And so what you would recognize as a druid, Amethyst, is that the spell that has the sort of effect they're talking about is the spell known as antipathy / sympathy.
Which
And
I can cast.
Yeah, and specific. Well, this is why I'm telling you, is because it's a spell that Amethyst could cast, and specifically the sympathy effect is the one that if things fail the saving throw, that they are sort of compelled to just approach and then stare at whatever the spell is cast on.
Cool.
And it is not, strictly speaking, a charm effect, which is a little bit weird, but nonetheless true. But it does require failing a saving throw.
I'm assuming you think this thing can fly.
It has wings.
I think Neocortex had wings too, but I don't think it could fly.
He had
We're going to have
tentacles in place of his wings, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
But he also could fly. He hovered.
Yeah.
We'll have to make sure we can do something about that. Either not let it fly or be able to fly ourselves.
So
I got that one covered.
It sounds like with this conversation, you guys, well, never mind. I forgot Lark was there with you. Are you still having this out on this bridge, or? 'Cause
Yeah.
I think you are starting to get really cold here. So I think if you want to just keep standing out there, you're going to need to make a Constitution saving throw for me.
Okay.
Well, I think I think I've seen all I need to see, unless you guys have something else, because it's cold.
Yeah.
We can possibly go around that main entrance, but I don't know if that would do us much good.
Well,
Before we go, I want to look one last scan. Is there any kind of like offering hoard anywhere visible?
Yeah, I think what you see is that it's not shown on this map here, but
Right.
that the just inside the big gate of this castle would appear to be a hoard of a variety of things, but it is, essentially being blocked by the dragon. So there's not anything out here.
Okay. All right.
Your suspicion is that anything that is brought to this location as an offering is then taken inside by Dracarics.
Okay.
I take a moment to cast prestidigitation on each of them to warm up their clothes.
That's nice. That's a nice use of that, actually.
Thanks, Alaric.
It's literally the least I can do.
Is there anything else, or should we go back?
I think we should probably go back. The others might have more ideas of stuff to use.
And we could take another look again if we needed to.
Yep.
I assume it hasn't moved. I haven't looked at it.
Nope.
didn't move.
Yeah, nothing's moved.
I watched.
All right. So we'll assume that you guys are all going back to the mansion then. And so, yeah. So how much more discussion do you want to have here? Because I'll go ahead and tell you right now, we're not going to run this combat
No.
tonight.
What do you
I
mean?
gotta
It's
get up
only
in the morning.
9:45. We got all night.
You're gonna
You're
book
right.
a
I
couple
got
of weeks for
Archie.
this one.
Plus, I'll be honest with you. As a DM, I really dig the idea of giving you guys like your ability to basically do almost anything you can think of to try to prepare for what is obviously going to be a tough fight. But you guys have the advantage of not only will it be presumably surprised when you wake it up, but that you can do whatever you like in order to get ready in the meantime. And it is entirely in your control to when that happens.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll use that to every advantage.
Oh, I fully expect you to come up with an excellent strategic plan that will fall apart immediately.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's how we can
Leroy
definitely
Jenkins.
live up to that expectation.
That is how it
Leroy
always happens, and it's the best.
Jenkins.
Yeah.
All right. So when we go back inside, we tell everybody else like what we saw,
hmm
and bring up that idea to Amethyst about that trap that we came across when we were going after the Thrae honey.
And I share about the spell that I know that will help.
We will need to weaken it.
Taste of the chicken.
If we can bind it to the ground somehow, it would help us.
I'll have to page through what I've got, but
Same.
there may or may not be. Like, I might have some stuff.
So, as a druid, Amethyst would know that a dragon is a beast, a
No,
monster.
It's a
A
monster.
dragon- A dragon
dragon.
is actually its own thing.
Hmm.
So a
Okay.
spell like Dominate Monster
It
would
is
work on
a
a dragon.
no, it would. It is a
Okay.
creature, but there is creature types include things like aberration, monstrosity, and so humanoid, and so
okay.
on. A dragon is its own category, but it is still a creature. So control monster would, or dominate monster, like those spells, like could work theoretically, but obviously it could still have
Yeah.
various, immunities or
Right.
resistances. and so on.
Legendaries and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, that's the thing, like with dragons. They have a lot of legendary resistances. It's not gonna be easy to just tie this thing to the ground.
Yeah.
Look, I have a wish spell. That's all I'm saying.
Oh good God.
I'm counting on it.
So is this a different plane than the Nine Hells, or is
Yes.
it part of the Nine Hells? It's different?
It's different. It's so if you imagine imagine it like a wheel, that there's sort of a plane for every sort of alignment that there could be. So the hells would be like the lawful evil plane, and then Gehenna is, I believe, halfway between neutral evil and chaotic evil.
Ooh, fun.
You said something about that before. It can be banished back home.
It is on a plane other than where it was, where it originated.
So we
Yeah, there-
could, in theory, use that to wear down any resistances it has.
Right. And like, I think 4 of us can cast that.
Right.
Is that where we're trying to get it to though? Or is that
Well-
just sending it somewhere else that we then have to
The contingent is that if it dies on this plane, it gets sent back there. The contract was not like, oh, you just have to put her back in the nine hells. That's not what it was.
One brief correction: Gehenna is between neutral evil and lawful evil, not neutral evil and
Oh,
chaotic
okay.
evil. So it's closer to the nine hells. But the contract, what it required is a defeat that forced her to return to the nine hells, and so I think the initial assumption was that that would mean destroyed, but I think based on your reading of the contract, that a successful banishing that forced her to be in the hells would count. Because specifically, like, not that he kind of said this and you didn't really like ask more about it, but essentially part of his issue with her right now is that she's off doing stuff outside of the hells, which means he has a little bit less control over her. And so forcing her to return to the hells when she did not want to would probably suffice.
Nice.
So basically, we're going to be fighting 7 dragons.
Well, the other 2 might not wake up.
I think that they might, because we'll be close enough.
Can we not eliminate them first then if we needed to?
necessarily. A lot of this stuff we can do from a distance, can't we?
hopefully.
I thought the
Recall
waking
that
up needed like a conscious effort.
it does,
Well, yeah.
but to have anything happen to it requires that same intent. So, like with the Orthon, when you attacked him, casting the first spell on him activated him waking up.
Oh, okay.
so
'Cause
you would-
I was going to wonder why we wouldn't just kill her before we woke her. Like, why wake her up at all?
Right,
you know?
because
But
as soon as you are doing anything to her, that counts as the intent.
That's fair.
Right, but we could like attack her and just not attack the other 2 dragons, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, proximity also does it, but
So yeah, we just need to not get any closer, and if possible, move further away from the others.
Well, but it's practically touching them by with the proximity. So whether it's our magic that touches them or our physical person that touches them, that will wake them.
In that
unless we
case,
try to
banish
remove them
kind of.
first.
In that case, I think banish really makes sense. Attempting to banish it, because even if it didn't work out that the hells was sufficient, we would be removing ourselves away from 2 dragons while we're fighting another, or however many there were total. But yeah.
It'll take more than one attempt, I think.
Oh, for sure. Which I think that is why the sympathy spell imbued with it on some object is an excellent idea.
Yeah, because even if we did wake up the other 2 white dragons, it would catch them in it too.
Mm-hmm.
I have a few things I can do at range, but I am not at my best.
Once again, I'm going to point out that we could all take a nap.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I
Yep.
could have swore I had a dragon slaying arrow, but I think I used it
So it
The other
is.
dragon.
That is
when
an
they
8,
fought those dragons. Yeah.
that is an 8th level spell. So
How long does it last?
let's see.
I had it up.
It takes 1 hour to cast, and the components are not a problem, and the duration is 10 days. It's got a wisdom save of 18, which is not bad, but who knows what the wisdom is on it, what the wisdom modifier would be on it. Sympathy, it causes the specified creature to feel an intense urge to approach the target while within 60 feet of it or able to see it. But it lasts for 10 days. So, like, that's.
Once it has resisted, is it always resistant?
It is immune for 1 minute when it resists.
So I have one level 8 spell slot and a level 9 spell slot that I believe I could cast it, right? I mean, it doesn't give me a benefit like if you cast it at a higher level, but could I still burn my 9th level spell slot? That's never something I've known.
If you do what?
If I use it once and need to recast it, can I cast it as a 9th level spell slot and burn that slot for it?
You can always use your 9th level spell slot to cast a spell of lower level.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
but I mean, Amethyst, you could do that tonight
Mhm.
before we go to bed and have it for tomorrow.
Well,
Yeah, that's true.
if you have it
And
prepared.
what if
I do.
we...
No, I don't have it prepared.
Yeah, I was
do
going to
have
say
it
that would
prepared.
really surprise me if you did, but you know.
That
we
would
can
be
take a
wild,
couple of
wouldn't it?
days if we need it. But
So-
what if we were to bring it here,
That's true.
away from its own stuff? And then
Yeah.
once ensnared by this thing, it would be constantly fighting it and fighting it off, which would drain its resources to resist any other spell like banishment.
Yeah. Because we can be 60 feet away from it, which is, I think, sufficiently far away enough from the other dragons. So,
So that's actually my question. Would placing that, like, is there a way that we can get this object within 60 feet of our target dragon and not the other two? Because if this is our magic and it has an effect, and that effect, wakes them, is that going to wake the other two?
Make an Arcana check.
But we could bring it to us, away from those.
It is-
others.
Or
it is
Arcana.
multiple targets.
And anyone who wants to can make this
It is
Who's-
multiple targets, by the way.
because you're all
Who's
discussing
got-
the question.
Who's
I
got really good arcana? Because
Not me.
Mine's only a +2. Let me see what Archie's is.
I mean, Kat, I think Kat is the only one that has proficiency in it. But
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got a +7
Ooh.
to mine.
check it out for us, Kat. What you think? What you know
Okay,
about it?
man. Let me see. Winner, chicken dinner. Ooh, that's a 16 + 7.
nice. I think you know that there is a little bit of uncertainty because the way the spell is supposed to work is that when a creature either can see the object or comes within 60 feet of it, right?
Okay.
So you think that anything that requires them to see it would not work because essentially while frozen, they don't see anything.
Right.
The fact that it's got that or come within 60 feet, though, that doesn't require them to see it, you're not sure about that. Now, what it means is it would only wake them up if its magical effect was beginning.
Right.
So you wouldn't want to do, at most, you wouldn't want to do that before you were ready to have it wake up. But that if it did wake it up, its first thing that it would do would be have to make the wisdom saving throw.
But what if we did it here and then convinced it through really annoying means to come to us too close to the thing where it may not be seeing it, it could be hidden, reveal it, or when it's too close, it's in its effect, it's in its grasp. It gives us an advantage over it.
But here's the thing. Say we throw it into the middle of this pile of dragons. If
No.
even one of them fails that saving throw,
No,
it will be fighting the other two because it'll be trying to protect that thing. Like the other two.
or
that
they
we-
may save, they may be resistant to it and come after us.
Also, I think Amethyst would be able to explain that the one that you encountered with that other situation was similar to this spell, but kind of its own special version of it. What her spell would do is the dragons would feel compelled to approach and stare at it. They wouldn't fight each other. Or they theoretically could, but the spell would not compel them to do so.
Okay.
What
So-
breaks the effect?
They just have to resist it.
They have a wisdom saving throw every 24 hours.
Yeah. So if they fail it, they don't get to make another save until they can either no longer see it, or leave that 60-foot radius, or they can make another save in 24 hours.
So we could trap it there while we do what we need to it. Trap it here, on this side, away from all the other dragons, outside of their affecting anything else but it. All we have to do is taunt it to come in closer.
Well, in theory, all we would have to do is set the thing where it would see it. It has line of sight because those other two dragons are looking at Dracarys.
Yeah, I know. I
would not be
see.
close
In
It
my
would be-
head, the name was
Dracarys.
different enough with the X, but when we say it, it does sound just like Dracarys. So,
Yeah.
The
Dracarys.
problem is, it would not see it until the effect takes a hold.
Well,
And
no,
that
that's
would
the
be
thing.
closer.
We don't have to wait for that. You can just cast, I don't know, mage hand or something and touch the thing. And it would wake up. And then be able to look at the thing.
I could shoot it with an arrow from
Yeah.
like way back here.
You guys
That's like,
also
what,
know
180
though
feet?
that if it resists that first saving throw, it doesn't have to make another saving throw for a full minute, and it will then be awake.
So if it has 5 heads, does it have to make 5 saving throws?
It's one creature, right?
It is one
but
creature.
that's like 5 different brains.
Yeah.
Right,
that may
but
also drain
that's
it.
my question
It's
is-
resisting things.
that's my question. Does it get 5 initiative rolls or does it get 1?
It has one initiative roll, but it does have legendary actions, which I don't
Right.
think it's a spoiler to tell you guys that.
However, if one head is mesmerized, if only one fails, the body will have to follow that one head or they will be fighting each other. So that would be in our benefit.
It
I
doesn't
would
mean that
rather
the
do
other
it over
heads wouldn't
here.
still be able to breathe on you.
True.
I
but at
mean,
least
no matter what we do, we're going to fight a dragon. I think we can
I
all.
know. Yeah.
There is no,
Man, there's no way to get out of this.
But
Yeah.
where we
I
do
would rather
something
fight it
and
over
the dragon
here
is not
than
being
anywhere near anything else where we
Agreed.
can
We,
use
we're in
spells,
agreement. We all agree. We
because it would be
all,
spells that could flow
were-
out otherwise.
I think we're all there. I don't think any of us want to risk, all of those wisdom throws.
All the other things that could be involved.
Right, because legendary, that's boom. That's a minute before I can cast it again. That's like, we're already either dead or whatever.
Well, you don't have to cast it again. It's already cast, and it
Yeah,
lasts
it'll
for that
stay
10
there.
days. It'll stay there,
Mhm.
so you don't have to use 2 spell slots.
Yeah.
You just do it once.
But while it is mesmerized by this thing and trying to escape, it is draining its power perhaps enough for one of the other effects to take hold. Banishment, the bottle, anything else we can throw at it.
Cat
Yeah.
has dominate monster.
No, I don't.
Oh, I thought you did.
No, I have hold monster.
Oh, okay.
Not dominate.
I have dominate beast.
It's
But
not a beast, though.
Let me see. That's
Any spell.
concentration, and I don't know what that is.
Well,
gonna do.
and that has to be a beast, which would be like regular animals.
Oh, beast. Oh, duh.
I have polymorph. Could turn into a mouse.
Oddly enough, that
Theoretically.
is actually kind of what happened when they fought the Mistress of the Dark, is they eventually actually turned it into a butterfly,
The
right?
sparrow, I
Sparrow,
think
yeah.
it was.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a bird. Yeah.
Bird.
Little bird.
It was
Put it in a bottle.
It was a lucky bad roll on the DM's part that got us to do that.
Yeah.
Well, also, the
I
mistress
mean-
was suffering from being in the sun.
Yeah.
If there's
I
conditions,
thought we were
can create,
tossing out
but-
options.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah, that's
Oh yeah,
kind of,
for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
But if there are ways that
I
we
mean,
could make it uncomfortable here.
I mean, I have true polymorph. I could essentially turn into an ancient red dragon myself. And
Oh,
fight
that
them.
sounds great. You should definitely do that.
Yeah.
Dragon on
But wouldn't-
dragon wrestling?
Yeah.
Hell yes.
Does it have
Then
to
be
you?
if he did the true polymorph, wouldn't he then be subject to the sympathy spell?
I don't know. You don't know?
What does it target?
Does it-
Dragons?
does It just targets dragons in general. It doesn't like a creature
I-
you're choosing, or
You'd have to ask
Let
Amethyst.
me look. Let me look again.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
basically
Other stuff.
creatures of a type that you describe.
so 5-headed dragons. I'll only have one head.
Could you do like a griffin or something else big like that?
Can you
Yeah.
cast that spell on someone else, Kent?
Oh yeah.
Because as it is, as powerful as I might be able to be, I don't think I could stand toe to toe this thing.
Yeah.
And assistance might be better, and you can still cast spells at that point.
Yeah.
It's not. Is it concentration?
What,
True
true
polymorph.
polymorph?
Yeah.
But that's my only 9th level spell. My 2 big 9-level spells are True Polymorph and Power Word Kill.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be able to cast other spells while you've got that spell.
No, I'm just saying, like, I can cast one or the other.
Yeah.
Power Word Kill, though, you got to get them down to he's got to get down to, like, within 100 hit points, and then I can just kill him with a single word.
Nice.
No saving throws, no nothing. But it's getting him to that point. Getting her to that point. Getting the dragon to that point. Pronouns, pal.
Them? I think it's a plural with 5 heads.
I guess, yeah. Getting the enemy to
Mhm.
within 100 hit points.
Yeah. Cool.
But that could take 2 sessions if we even last that long.
We perhaps, if we are going to do this here, maybe we should build fortifications, something that we could hide behind in case the heads breathe. We
Yeah,
will
the
not
mansion.
stand up- Well, we can do nothing from inside the mansion, though, and it can go away.
Yeah.
Also, I would not recommend you use such a high spell when we've got better uses for the other things.
You could duck
Well,
in and
no,
out
I'm
of the
saying the
doorway.
mansion will last for 24 hours,
Yeah.
regardless. It's up now for 24 hours. So if we need to run back in it for anything, we can run back in.
Perhaps if we build fortifications around this area, built up stone and other rock to hide behind, that gives us more places to hide, which we're going to need.
I think I can make like a stone wall of some size. Wall
Don't
of
you,
stone.
don't you
Yeah.
need stone, though? Aren't we in like a layer of ice at the moment?
Last 10 minutes.
Or is it just cold?
Well, you are basically on the edge of a frozen lake in
Right.
kind of rocky environment. So you suspect there's probably stone and earth underneath the snow and ice.
Right.
But it's also right on the coast of a lake, so it's probably
Yeah.
not a lot of really solid stone right there.
So I can make a solid stone wall that is essentially 6 inches thick and 10 foot by 10 foot panels.
Look, walls don't work.
We
Hey,
need to
you
build a
guys
wall.
asked. You guys asked. I'm just telling you that's something that
Yeah, build a wall and make
I've only got.
Didn't you ever see Pacific Rim?
I probably did, but I don't remember it.
I think anything that we can use to hide behind would be good. If it breathes as the other dragons have, then we're
Dude,
going to
man,
need
I'm just
cover.
gonna hide behind you. I'll just
I could also-
crouch down real low.
Then we'll both die, and that would be stupid.
Yeah.
So it only lasts 10 minutes, but I could presumably, if it's a concentration spell, so I couldn't cast anything else, but I could put a wall up between us and the other dragons as well. That doesn't protect us, that we can only do one wall, but you know what I'm saying? If we decided that was the bigger threat.
Until it is grounded, it could fly over it.
And you would be able to
Of
cast other
course.
spells, just not
Absolutely.
other concentration spells.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, is that true?
Yeah. So
At level 20, I learned.
yeah. So when you're concentrating on a spell, if you cast a different spell that also needs concentration, it breaks the first one.
Gotcha.
But you could cast a non-concentration spell.
Oh, you guys, if only I'd known it any time sooner.
I have
Everything would
no
have
other
been different.
preparation.
I put a limitation on myself.
I can simply start trying to carve whatever stone we have here and build up normal walls. I used to build walls. It would actually be kind of comforting, I think.
Do you, man?
Yeah, I think
That's
the
all I can
one,
do
the
to do
one fly in the ointment, so to speak, with that plan. Not to say you couldn't do it, is just that it is very cold outside.
Stop.
Well, I can heat
Even
myself
with
up.
your fancy armor.
There's nothing fancy about my armor. It's nothing more than an illusion. But I can heat myself up as I need to.
So basically, you're walking around without any clothes on. That's weird, Alaric.
I have
Boxer shorts with the little hearts on them. Yeah.
I don't
I
want to
have
hear
a
about your
beard.
studded loincloth. All right?
I have a beard. I am never naked.
I'm not going to kink shame you. You can enjoy your studded loincloth all you want. That's fine.
Yeah.
We just don't have to hear about it, okay?
Fine.
All right, then.
All right. Well, let's take this conversation,
Yeah.
offline and prepare for next week.
Yeah, so
I'm going
I
to
think
make some
it's
walls.
the right time for that. Obviously, you guys can consider continue thinking about it, but again, it's like this is on your timetable.
Mm-hmm.
You're here.
We could take
It's
weeks
not
to
going
do
anywhere.
this.
Do we know? I need to ask this before we go. Have we heard of this creature before?
I mean, I don't think it would be. I think
If it's
that
a-
maybe Cadence, with her knowledge of dragons,
Okay.
would probably. Oh, go ahead.
Is it a dragon god? Like,
Sort of.
It's a creature.
It is a creature of a power level that probably most would call. It might as well be a god, right?
I guess what I want to know is if we have heard of this creature before in legend or myth or anything like that, would we know of any, like, sort of the yin to its yang, any foes that this creature would have?
Oh, so that's a good point. And I think we would need to make some checks for that, but we could. I think Cadence would be probably have advantage on a roll for that, but it was probably a religion roll is what you guys would need to know, because essentially
at
what we're
those.
talking about is dragon
What?
religion.
Right.
What about the Lord of the Hunt?
What he's saying, we pop him in here and be like, fight this dragon.
I think he would appreciate it.
Well,
would
what I'm
love
saying,
that.
okay, I'm saying out of character. I'm saying like
That's
from,
true.
like the.
Oh, so out of character, I would need you to make rolls to know that.
Mhm.
But in a meta sense, there is absolutely an opposite number to this. To this.
Right, like I'm thinking, how like Tiamat has Bahamut,
Mhm. Yeah.
the mortal enemies. I'm wondering if this creature has a mortal enemy like
Right.
that.
Yeah, you guys really haven't ever
Goanna?
made much effort to contact any of the higher powers on the good alignment side.
Right. Yeah, I know. Really have.
we had our
Order
fill
Marut?
of Fey Queens.
Can we order a Marut? Does anybody have the catalog number?
Yeah,
Is it
So,
still delivered
Maybe
here?
programmed.
so are we making some checks? Like, I'm good
If
at
you
religion
want
checks.
to, yeah. How about we do that in between or
Sure.
next time, just because I can prepare some specific lore there instead of just winging it.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Well,
Yes,
okay.
please.
How about this? Go ahead and make the roll, and I'll come up with the details of what you might learn in between. But we can determine what you, the general level of your knowledge.
Right.
26.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, I think what you know from that is chromatic dragons do have a sort of worship for a powerful spirit that they consider the ultimate embodiment of everything that they are and desire to be, conquest and destruction and all of those sorts of things. But by contrast, the chromatic dragons are opposed in the physical realms by the metallic dragons, who tend to be good. And likewise, metallic dragons have their own sort of draconic spirit that they pray to, that you imagine would be essentially the opposite number of Dracarics here. But I can come up with like what the specific details you would know, but you would essentially know, yes, there is essentially an opposite of this.
I'm just
character.
imagining we come right to the brink of a fight and then go, let's search the world for something else instead.
Let's go get this other guy.
Okay.
Always the plan B.
All right. Well, I think we're going to leave it there for tonight. Thank you, everybody, especially those of you watching live. But if you're also watching us in any way or listening to us, we love you too. Thank you to our players here tonight. I love you guys. And we'll be back next week for more adventure on so many levels.
So many levels.
Maybe a big dragon combat. First real combat in a while.
Or maybe we'll just plan for it the whole time.
Yeah, that works. Yeah. Or what you'll do is you'll wake up Dracarys and say, okay, hold on. Oh God, let's talk about this. Let's have a
I
conversation.
seriously thought of that.
Yeah.
I seriously
What
thought
was
of
it
that.
about
because-
your father?
All right. So good night, everybody.
Oh.